Hi guys, it's Jess from Honest Fiction and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing my Audible book haul. Alright guys, so Audible just had their sale and all their books were 65 to 85% off, and I went a little crazy. I realized I have very little self-control when it comes to buying audiobooks, but that is because I primarily get most of my reading done via audio. So during the school year, I just don't have a lot of time to read books physically, so I end up listening to books like on my commute to and from work. So I'm hoping this ends up saving me money in the long run. So this is going to be a combination of a audiobook haul and also kind of like my end of the year TBR, because these are all the books I will be reading going into the end of the year. So I have a good mix of fantasy, YA fantasy, paranormal romance, fantasy romance, dark romance, contemporary romance. There's just a big mix. So definitely check timestamps down below. I'm going to be doing this by genre. And if you're unfamiliar with my channel, I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. You can also hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. You can also check out my Instagram and Goodreads, both linked down below. With all that out of the way, let's talk about the books I bought during the Audible haul. Alright guys, so starting off with fantasy, first up we have Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. So this is actually a pre-order. It releases on September 27th, and I talked about this in my most anticipated releases for September and October video that I will leave linked in the cards and in the description. But this is described as like a witchy small town murder. We're following this girl whose boyfriend ends up killing her best friend and is then sent away. And then 14 years go by and the boyfriend returns and then mysterious things start happening. So I have seen a lot of mixed reviews of this. Some of my friends who've already read it really loved it. Others weren't crazy about it. So I'm still very excited to read it. I love Adrienne Young's writing style. She also wrote Fable, and it's just so atmospheric. So I can't wait to see what she does with like the fall vibes. But yes, I'm so looking forward to reading this book. And next up is another pre-order. So we have House of the Hunger by Alexis Henderson. This will also be releasing on September 27th, and I also talked about it in that anticipated release video. So this is following a girl that is living in the slums, and she sees a poster advertising a job as a blood maiden. So she takes the job, she moves up north, and it's actually in this like elite society, and blood maidens are used to feed vampires. So she actually really enjoys the job. That is until other blood maidens start going missing. So this is also kind of like a murder mystery. And I loved Year of the Witching by the same author. It was really dark and perfect for fall, but also had a really empowering message. So I'm so excited to read House of the Hunger. And next up, we have The Atlas Paradox, which is the sequel to The Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake. So I can't say very much about this, only because it is a sequel. So The Atlas 6 is following 5 academics as they compete to become the caretakers of the Library of Alexandria. So I really enjoyed the first book. I am so excited to get to The Atlas Paradox, just because the first book ended on such a big revelation and reveal, and I'm so interested to see what happens next. So I will be reading this or listening to this as soon as it releases. Moving into fantasy romance, I have a lot of books in this category. So we're going to start off with pre-orders. First up, we have A Light in the Flame, which is the sequel to A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is the companion series to From Blood and Ash. So if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I absolutely adore From Blood and Ash. It's one of my favorite fantasy romance series. Highly recommend if you have not picked it up yet. Definitely check it out. It has werewolves, it has vampires. It's so good. And the companion series, I believe it's called the Flesh and Fire series, is just as good, if not better so far. I love Daddy Nitos. He is everything. So I am so looking forward to reading this book when it is released. Now, I have done recap videos for all of the books, and I will definitely be doing a recap of A Shadow in the Ember prior to A Light in the Flame being released. Next up, I pre-ordered What Hunts Inside the Shadows, which is the sequel to What Lies Beyond the Veil by Harper L. Woods. So I read What Lies Beyond the Veil and absolutely loved it. I have a full spoiler-free review I will leave in the cards and in the description. And the audiobook was supposed to be released at the end of August. It ended up getting pushed back. So I canceled my pre-order when I saw it was pushed back, and then I rebought it during the sale just because I think it was like $7. And I really want to listen to it via audio. I have the physical book, and I've picked it up a few times, but I really enjoyed the audio narrator, so I think I am going to wait for it to be released. I believe it's coming out towards the end of October. But yeah, if you don't know what Lies Beyond the Veil is about, it's about a girl that lives in this very patriarchal society, and the society or this community is separated from the Fey worlds by this veil. And the community is able to keep the veil going by sacrificing humans in front of it. So our main character is picked to be sacrificed, and right before that happens, the veil ruptures, and all of the Fae come out, and they're attacking humans, and it goes from there. And I really enjoyed it, so I cannot wait to read this sequel. And last up for pre-releases, we have Kingdom of the Feared by Kerri Maniscalco. This is the third book in the Kingdom of the Wicked series. So Kingdom of the Wicked is following Amelia, and she is a witch. So in the very beginning of the story, a murder takes place, and Amelia, in order to solve the murder, ends up pairing up with one of her enemies, Wrath, one of the 7 princes of hell. And I really enjoyed Kingdom of the Wicked. Kingdom of the Wicked is YA, but then the second book, Kingdom of the Cursed, is NA. So it does get spicier as you progress through the series, so just know that going in. But the end of Kingdom of the Cursed had like a big reveal, so I am so excited to jump into Kingdom of the Feared. And next up, we have King of Flesh and Bone and Queen of Rat and Pain. So I actually already read this duology, and I'll talk about it more in my September wrap-up, but this is a dark fantasy romance, emphasis on dark, and it is following this woman that lives in a world where the King of Flesh and Bone, who's kind of like a Hades character, has put a curse on corpses. So when you die, your body doesn't rot, it just reanimates and kind of goes walking around like attacking people. So one day our main character ends up getting stuck to a dead reincarnated like donkey type thing, and it drags her into the King of Flesh and Bone's like court. So when she gets there, the King of Flesh and Bone is super intrigued, and he ends up making her his like plaything. And there's some like non-con type stuff. He really has her as like his personal, I think he calls her like his pet. And it's dark, and he does horrible, deplorable things and never apologizes throughout both books. The first book does end with a serious cliffhanger, so know that going in. I didn't think I was going to want to read the second book, but then I just needed to know what happens. So just know, check trigger warnings. It has all the triggers, so just check that. But I think I rated it 3 stars. Like, I enjoyed it while I was reading it. It was upsetting. So yeah, I'm happy I bought it. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to read it again, but if you're in the mood for a dark romance, I suggest checking it out. And next up, I purchased King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. So I actually read this book physically when it first came out, and I really want to do a reread. And I feel like I'm going to enjoy it more via audio. And I think this was another one that was on sale for like $2 or $3. And this is a vampire fantasy romance. We're following this girl, Isolde, who ends up being promised to the vampire king in order to save her people. And she also wants to assassinate them. From what I remember, I didn't enjoy this book as much just because there is really no angst. As soon as the two people end up meeting, they end up hooking up very quickly. And I like more of a slow burn buildup. But I am looking forward to listening to it via audio. And I do want to do a vampire vlog. There are a lot of vampire books on this list, by the way, where I read just vampire romances. So I figured this would be perfect. All right, and moving on to another vampire romance, we have Court of the Vampire Queen, and this is by Katee Robert. So I believe this is 3 books put into one. It said it was 15 hours long, and that's really long for a Katee Robert book. I know nothing about this. I just know that it's Katee Robert, and it's vampire, so it's going to be smutty, it's going to be dark, it's probably going to be amazing. So I'm very much looking forward to reading that. That'll be read in that vampire vlog I just mentioned. And then I also read The Dragon's Bride, also by Katee Robert. I wanted to read this when I was doing my monster romance reading vlog. I will leave linked in the cards in the description. But I think the ebook was like $8. It was just kind of expensive for how short it was. And then I saw on Audible this book was like on sale for $4. So I decided to pick it up. I know a lot of people have read it and really enjoyed it. And I think her next book is about a kraken, and that's about to come out. So I figured, why not? I do plan on reading The Dragon's Bride in October. It's going to be one of my earlier reads of October. So it should be featured in my October wrap-up. All right, and next up we have A Dance with the Fae Prince by Elise Kova. Now, I have been wanting to read more from this author after I read A Deal with the Elf King, and a lot of you recommended A Dance with the Fae Prince. Now, when I wanted to read it, it wasn't available via audio, and then I just kind of forgot about it. So I was so excited when I saw it was part of the Audible sale, so I picked that up. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to it. I'm thinking probably early November, but it should be really good. All I know about it is it's an arranged marriage story of this girl that is promised to this lord who she right away does not want to get married to. She automatically hates him. And when they get married, he apparently is like a cinnamon roll. So we'll see how it goes. But like I said, I'm so looking forward to reading it. All right, next up we have A River of Shadows by Karina Halle. So I've actually been wanting to read this book for a while, but it was getting a lot of mixed reviews. So I picked up the physical copy. I've owned the physical copy for almost like 6 months now after I read Black Sunshine by the same author. Black Sunshine is a vampire witch dark romance, and it's divine. So River of Shadows, I believe, is following this girl whose father ends up dying, and I believe they were estranged. So she ends up going to the underworld to try to find his soul or his body. And when she gets there, she ends up being held captive by the god of death. So, like I said, I'm very intrigued. I'm kind of concerned because of all the negative reviews, but I really do like Karina Halle's writing style. And like I said, Black Sunshine was amazing. So we will see. This is a book I'm probably not going to be reading for a little bit. This will probably be a November or December read, but it should be interesting. And moving on, we have The Dark One, which is the sequel to The Never King by Nikki St. Croix, which is a reverse harem, dark Peter Pan reimagining where the descendants of Wendy Darling are kidnapped and taken to an island in Neverland by Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, and they all have a relationship. And like I said, it's reverse harem, super spicy. The first book is really short. I think this one's a little bit longer. And I read the first book physically, but then I listened to the first book via audio, and I really like the narrator. So I figured I would read the second and third book. Third book, I believe, is This Vicious Darling, via audio. So I cannot wait to jump into these. I really enjoyed the first book. Like, it was way spicier than I was expecting. And this is my reverse harem year. I'm just reading all the reverse harems I can find. So this should be really good. Next up, I'm going to be continuing with the Zodiac Academy. So I bought Heartless Sky, which is book 7, and it's by Carolyn Peckman and Susan Valenti. So the Zodiac Academy is one of my all-time favorite fantasy romances. I have a full spoiler-free series review I will leave in the cards and in the description. So it is a bully romance following these two girls that on their 18th birthday, they find out that they're actually Fae royalty, and in order to claim their inheritance, they have to go to a school known as the Zodiac Academy. But when they get there, they find out that there are these 4 celestial heirs that are already ruling the school. So there are vampires, there are dragons, there are shifters, there are mermen. It's such an amazing series. You have all of the angst and the spice. I will say, this is one of those series, and it's super frustrating. You really need to give it the first 3 books before you pass judgment. I understand that you really shouldn't have to do that, but the first book is kind of poorly written, and it's a little cringy. I honestly not sure why I ended up picking up the second book, but then I was so hooked, and I just devoured the rest of the series. So I'm going to read book 7. I started it, and everyone keeps messaging me saying that 7 ends on such like a sad cliffhanger, and I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared, but I plan on reading that very soon. And last up, we have A Heart of Blood and Ashes, and I'm gonna be completely honest, this was a TikTok impulse buy. So I was scrolling on TikTok really late, and there was this woman that was talking about her top 5 underrated fantasy romances that everyone needs to read, and this was on that list, and it was $4 on sale, so I picked it up. From what I am getting from the Goodreads summary, it's about this woman that ends up marrying this guy who I think is like in charge of another tribe, marriage of convenience, in order to go up against her father. And yeah, I'm intrigued. Never heard of it, has pretty good reviews, so we will see how it goes. All right, so moving into paranormal romance, I actually bought a decent amount of these only because we are moving into fall, and I feel like that is the perfect time to read paranormal romances. So first up, we have Wolfsong by T.J Klune. I just finished reading this book yesterday, and I am absolutely obsessed. I did not think a book about a werewolf was going to make me bawl my eyes out, but it is also written by the same person that wrote House in the Cerulean Sea, so it kind of makes sense. But this is just an werewolf romance. I feel like you're best going into this kind of blind. So after I finished this, I ended up buying all of the books I could from the Audible sale. So I have books 3 and 4. For some reason, book 2 isn't available via audio, or at least it wasn't in the Audible format. So if anyone knows where you can listen to book 2, please let me know. I haven't checked any play yet. I just thought it was kind of weird that they skipped book 2, and Wolfsong was available, and then book 3 and 4, but not 2. I think book 2 is about the witch, and I really loved his story, Gordo, so I want to know what happened. So if you know where to listen to it, let me know down below. Next up, we have Her Soul to Take by Harley Laroux. So this has been on my radar for a really long time, and it's finally being released in audio format. So this is actually a pre-order, even though the book's already out. And I believe this is a demon romance where this girl ends up summoning a demon. I think she's a magician, and she's like hunting ghosts, and then her and the demon end up having a like dark romance. And also, this is another one that kind of gets mixed reviews. I recently posted on my Instagram, I was looking for like dark romances to read in the fall, and a lot of you recommended this book. So we will see how it goes, but I am really looking forward to reading it when the audio version is released. I also think it's coming out on September 27th. It's just a good day for book releases. And next up, I picked up Sanctum by Hannah McBride, which is the first book in the Blackwater Pact series. So this is a werewolf romance series, and I swear that somebody picked it up as their book club pick. I cannot remember who, and I just looked and I can't find it anywhere. So as soon as I figure it out, I will let you know down in the description below. But I saw it picked as a book club pick, and then it ended up being like $4 during the Audible sale, so I nabbed it. Now, I never used to be a big fan of werewolf romances. I was always Team Edward from Twilight, like never wavered at all. But after reading Wolfsong, I'm starting to get into the whole werewolf thing. So we'll see how I feel about this one. And last up for paranormal romance, we have Wolf Gone Wild by Juliet Cross. So this is the first book in a series that I really wanted to start last October, but I just had so many books to read and I never got around to it. So this is a werewolf witch romance, and I believe there are 4 books in the series, and then a 5th book is about to be released. And I've just heard really good things, and it seems like a really fun, like rom-com type series to start in the autumn. All right, so moving in to romance. We're gonna start off with dark romance, and I actually broke this down by genre. So we have mafia romance, age gap romance, reverse harem romance, and then I have just like dark romance that I really can't like classify into any of those like subgenres. So the first book is Give Me More, and this is by Sarah Kate. So this is the 3rd book in the Salacious Players Club series, and I believe this is like a menage a trois type situation. I really enjoyed the first book, Praise. The second book, Eyes on Me, I thought was okay, but I didn't really like it nearly as much as the first one. And I'm super excited to read this next book. So I will definitely be reading Give Me More very soon. And next up we have Enthralled by Gianna Darling. This is the first book in the Enslaved duet. So I'm slowly making my way through the Gianna Darling backlist. I've read most of her books. I still have to read The Affair, this duet, and I'm very much looking forward to this. I believe it's arranged marriage. Maybe not even marriage. I know a girl turns 18 and then she's given to this guy and they end up having like an enemies to lovers type relationship. So it's by Gianna Darling. I'm probably gonna absolutely love it, and I cannot wait to read it. Next up we have Beautiful Graves by L.J. Shen. So this is actually a pre-order. I believe it's releasing in October, and honestly the cover was just gorgeous and it was super cheap, which is why I picked it up. But I know very little about this. It is following a woman that is either in a love triangle or she's trying to choose between 2 different guys. And yeah, it should be interesting. And next up, we have Lovely Bad Things by Trisha Wolfe. So I don't know very much about this. I read the plot summary on Goodreads, and it seems like it's following this woman who's a detective, and she has a very strong connection with this inmate in an insane asylum. And then she stumbles upon this like horrible crime scene, and she ends up partnering with him. So it just really gave me like Silence of the Lambs, Hello Clarice vibes, and that is one of my absolute favorite movies, and this just seemed really similar, and it's also a murder mystery, so it seemed like the perfect thing to read in the fall. I am going to be doing a dark romance reading vlog, and this will definitely be featured in that. And next up, I bought Bittersweet Surrender and Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. So I have not read any books by QB Tyler yet. One of my friends on Instagram actually ended up sending me Love Unexpected for my birthday, so I'm so excited to read that. And then I figured I'd pick up these 2 during the sale. So Forget Me Not is about a guy who I think ends up being in a rocky marriage, and then he loses his memories, and then he kind of like falls in love with his wife again. Jess from Peaceful Books actually just sent me a physical copy for my birthday, so thank you so much for that. I was so excited. So I can't wait to jump into that one. And then Bittersweet Surrender, I'm a little nervous about because I'm pretty sure it involves cheating. Like this woman ends up cheating on her husband with her marriage counselor. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that, but this another book that was like $2, so I figured I'd try it out. But yeah, I cannot wait to read my first QB Tyler book. Moving on to age gap romances. So first up, we have Wanting Mr. Kane. So I picked this up because I saw Tori from Novel Life talking about it and saying she's really enjoying that series. So this, I believe, is Dad's best friend age gap romance. And like I said, it's the first in a series. And then the second one is The Unrequited. So this is another one I picked up because I saw one of my friends on Instagram reading it. And I believe this one is professor-student age gap romance. Moving into reverse harems, I have 2. Like I said, I'm very into reverse harems right now. So these are both new adult reverse harem romances. First up, we have Sinner's Playground, and this is by Carolyn Peckman and Susan Valenti, the same authors that wrote the Zodiac Academy. And then I also have Lords of Pain. So I don't know very much about either, just that a lot of people recommended me both of these series when I posted my reverse harem recommendations video. So I've been wanting to read these for a while, and they should be really good. Next up, we have one of my absolute favorite dark romance subgenres, so mafia romance. So first up, we have The Bully and the Spy, which are books 3 and 4 of the Kingmaker series by Sophie Lark, one of my absolute favorite new adult mafia series. So if you're unfamiliar with Kingmakers, it is following the children of the kids from Brutal Birthright as they go to Kingmakers, which is a college for kids that are involved in the mafia. So The Bully I've actually already read, and it's amazing. It is my favorite in the series. It is following Dean, and it's so good. Highly, highly recommend. And I'm very excited to read The Spy, which is the follow-up book. I'm not really sure what it's about. I've seen some people tell me I have to read Ivan and Snow before I read The Spy. Let me know if that's true, because those aren't available via audio, so it might be a while before I get to The Spy. But either way, I'm very excited to continue with this series. And I finally purchased The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan, which is the first book in the All the King's Men mafia romance series that she wrote, and I've been wanting to pick this series up for so long. I think I was waiting for it to be available on Scribd, and it wasn't, and then I saw it as part of the Audible sale. So I really enjoyed this author. It's mafia romance. It's gonna be amazing. So I will definitely be picking up The Kingmaker very soon. We have reached the final portion of this video, so the rest of these books are either contemporary romance or like rom-com romances. So first up, I want to finish my Mariana Zapata backlist. So I bought Luna and the Lie, wait for it, and The Best Thing. I do not know what any of these books are about. I tend to go into Mariana Zapata books blind, and I have rated almost all of them 5 stars. I think the only one I rated under 5 was Dear Erin, and that was more to do with formatting. Like, I really loved the story, it was just really slow. Now, Mariana Zapata books are the slowest of slow burns, but they are all so good. I love her characters and I love her romances, so this should be really good. And I will be doing a Mariana Zapata ranking and discussion video after I finish these 3. I cannot wait to say I finished her backlist. I just really, really love everything she has written. And I ended up buying 2 books by Karina Halle. So we have A Nordic King and One Hot Italian Summer. So A Nordic King is following a woman that thinks she's going to nanny for this very affluent family, and she finds out the father is actually a prince and his 2 daughters are princesses, and it's their romance. And then One Hot Italian Summer, I believe, is also a single father romance, and the father is a fireman. So I saw the cover of One Hot Italian Summer all over Bookstagram over the summer, and I really wanted to pick it up. I never got a chance, and it was another one that was on sale really cheap. And A Nordic Prince, I think I actually saw it on Christy Reads a Lot's channel. She had a special edition, and the cover is just gorgeous. And I added it to my TBR of like, I need to read the single father romance, and now seems like the perfect time. So I cannot wait to read both books. All right, and next up we have The Gravity of Us by Brittany C. Cherry. This is book 4 in her Element series. So I recently read The Silent Waters, and I absolutely loved it. It was just so emotional and such a great story, and I've heard really good things about The Gravity of Us. I believe it's a grumpy sunshine romance, and I just cannot wait to read it. And next up, I bought Asher by Kerri and Cole. So this is actually book 6 in a series, and I have not read any of the other books. However, this book is following the parents of the love interest of Torn by the same author. And I'm just really interested in their romance. I believe it's a rock star romance, and I've heard nothing but really good things. And last up, we have 2 Halloween like rom-com type books. So I should have both of these read by the time this video comes out. First up, we have The Dead Romantics, and this is following a ghostwriter who can actually see ghosts. And then after the death of her father, she moves back to her hometown, and she sees someone she used to love, but they're a ghost. So I think they're trying to solve like the mystery of how that happened. She also has completely given up on love, which is very sad because she's a romance author. And I didn't realize this is one of those books about books, and I really liked it. Like, they talk about like The Hating Game and like all these popular like rom-com type books in the beginning, and it was just really cool. So I cannot wait to finish that. And then the other book is Love in the Time of Serial Killers, which is about a woman that is obsessed with true crime, and I can so relate. She ends up believing that her neighbor is a serial killer, and I think it's their romance. So like I said, by the time this video comes out, I should have both finished, hopefully. And like I said, also, they just seem like really fun books to read in the fall. Alright guys, so those were most of the books I purchased in the Audible sale. Thank you so much for watching. If you participated and you bought books during the sale, please let me know down in the comments what book you are most excited to read. And I said this already, I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday, and if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I will see you all next week. Bye!